This is music, and this is a beastly bunch of first impressions. Welcome to another first impressions video. In these videos, I share with you my first impressions of the many CDs I've blind bought over the last couple of years. Today I have this massive stack of CDs to talk about. I found myself traveling by train to Aalborg and then back from Aalborg to Copenhagen earlier this week. That's 5 hours each way, so 10 hours altogether, which means I had lots of time to listen to lots of music while in transit. So let's get down to business. What some of the stuff I listened to. Up first, death metal, Bæst, Necrosapiens. There's more to this release than this, obviously. This is a very cool patch. It came in a digipack. I have that stored safely somewhere else. I would say this is kind of adventurous death metal. Some people have described it as brutal death metal, but I would disagree. There's much more stuff going on in the music here than you hear in typical brutal death metal. The lyrics might be a bit, in the neighborhood of brutal death metal every now and then. But to me, I would say it's innovative death metal. Maybe borderline progressive death metal. I wouldn't call it technical death metal, but certainly innovative, perhaps in its own way progressive. The vocals are guttural, but you can actually hear what's being said. And each song is kind of like a musical adventure. There's so many things going on in all the songs. And I hear influences from Bolt Thrower, Suffocation, early Morbid Angel, and Carcass, and even, believe it or not, Queensryche. There's some of the riffage, especially in the first song, but it kind of pops up every now and then. Some of the riffage reminds me of Operation Mindcrime and Empire era Queensryche, which I think is very interesting. So this is very good stuff. Adventurous death metal. Each song is a musical journey. There's so many things going on. If you like death metal with lots of stuff going on without it being so mind-boggling that it's a turn-off, check out Bæst, Necrosapiens. It kicks ass. Now to something completely different. Bon Jovi, 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. The album that flies under the radar. For example, I'm not sure I had ever heard this one before. I listened to it the other day. And it seems that the band even kind of forget about this album themselves. Maybe they even disown it. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's no real hit on it. But I think it's just as good as New Jersey or the debut album. Or Slippery When Wet. I think it's up there with those, like melodic hard rock classics. What I really like about this album is the riffage. There's so much just hard rocking guitar riffage going on that reminds me a bit of early Def Leppard. So I think this is very good. You have a couple of ballads that I don't care for, but it's very good. There's a song called Tokyo Road that has an introduction, which is kind of like, I guess, a nursery rhyme or something like that. Sakura, Sakura, na na na, something like that. And the melody is the exact same melody that you hear in the bridge of Baby Metal's Megitsune. So I thought it was pretty cool that I recognized this melody. So maybe it's kind of a reference to a Japanese children's rhyme or something like that, or nursery rhyme. The rest of the song, Tokyo Road, I have to admit that's one of the songs I don't care that much for. I think the chorus is a bit boring. But other than that, and a ballad or two, I think this is a very solid melodic hard rock song. Album. I quite like it. The next one has not made an appearance in an update video yet, but it will. Evildead's comeback, I would say. United States of Anarchy. And this is, I would say this is kind of like 80s thrash updated to the 2010s and 20s, like the late 2010s and early 2020s. So the music is straight up old school thrash metal riffage, and these guys were around back in the day, and their classics were kind of like, you know, your typical. It's very good though. I mean, they're classics, right? Your typical kind of angry young man, nihilistic, misanthropic thrash metal from the 80s and early 90s. You know, Cold War and all that stuff. And now they've kind of returned, but now they're bitter old men who observe the same problems as back then and are bitter and angry about it. So you have your anti-politician songs, you have your anti-rich people songs, you have your just misanthropic anti-the human race song because, you know, the human race has destroyed the environment. You have all of that sort of angry stuff going on here, and I really enjoy how nihilistic, misanthropic, how bitter and anti everything this album is. I think it's great, and I love the cover artwork too. It's nice to see the return of whatever this mascot is called. He's on the other albums by Evildead. A great thrash metal album. Okay, up next, Cenere by Combustion. This is Italian crust punk, and it's crusty, and it's punky, and it's crust punk. That's, you know, really all there is to say about it. I mean, it's high energy, it's aggressive, it has all the things that good crust punk has. And, you know, sometimes that's all you need from a crust punk release. And that's what you get here with Combustion. So if you're into Discharge, maybe even if you're into kind of Motorhead at their punkiest, and if you like, because there's a lot of Italian crust punk out there, if you like that stuff, I think you will enjoy this one too. It's angry, it's crusty, and that's what you get. If that's what you like, check this one out. And up next, this compilation here by Korgel the Exterminator, or however you pronounce that, Korgel, whatever. This is kind of a compilation, so you have some, B-sides, you have some, I think even some demo material, you have some cover songs. The entire second disc, it's like a 2-disc set. The entire second disc has, it's just a bunch of cover songs, and you have some of their songs from Splits, if I didn't mention that. I mean, they're known as a blackened thrash metal band, but what I hear here on the sort of main disc with their own stuff on it is it's more towards the black metal territory, I would say. You have lots of, really fast blast beats. It comes across very chaotic, very aggressive and fast. Sure, you have some thrash metal going on too, but to me it sounds more like your kind of lo-fi primitive, but not super primitive black metal, and then maybe with some thrash metal thrown in every now and then. Some of the songs do come across almost kind of like lo-fi-ish because the production is quite raw every now and then. I think a lot of like true black metal fans would probably not consider this black metal. They would consider it black and thrash, but to me it sounds like more close to black metal than thrash metal. Really fast, really aggressive, high energy stuff, and there's also kind of a crusty, punky edge to some of this, I would say. So if you're into black and thrash, if you're into the more aggressive and punky thrash metal, I think you will enjoy this one. I'm not sure this is an essential to have, to be honest. And I'm not sure this is the first release by this band you should check out if you're looking to get into them. But maybe a bit further down the line, it's very neat to have the songs from some of their singles and demos and, you know, the splits they appeared on, like, you know, compiled in one release for sure. The cover songs are also pretty cool. They do add their own spin to some Motorhead songs and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you already know this band, or if you just want to take a chance and listen to it. Now to something completely different again. Imperfect by Ling Tosite Sigure. Japanese alternative rock with a considerable noise rock component, I would say. The guitar work is quite frantic and you have dissonant chords and so on and so forth. The drumming is very dynamic. You have lots of kind of like almost like disco drum beats, like Clive Burr used to do a lot when, you know, back in the Maiden days. Doesn't sound like disco. It's alternative rock with what I call the guitar tone is what I've come to call the Mew twang. There's an alternative band called Mew. They have a very characteristic guitar tone on some of their albums that has kind of a twangy a twangy sound. And the same thing applies to the guitar tone on this album. So the guitar work is kind of frantic. The drumming is very dynamic. And then you have a very heavy, distorted bass tying everything together. So it's very interesting. I quite enjoy listening to this. The vocalist sings typically in a kind of a falsetto voice, and I think that's not to everybody's liking. And then you have the bass player, and she does some backing vocals every now and then. And I really like her voice. I don't want to take anything away from the guy who does the lead vocals, but sometimes I do catch myself thinking, I wish she was the lead vocalist. But hey, it works. What they have going on with the vocals, it works. It fits the music very well. If you like alternative rock, if you like 90s alt rock with a tiny bit of noise rock going on, check out Imperfect by Ling Tosite Sigure. It's cool. I really enjoy it. Up next, back to the 90s actually, as far as I remember, Rude Awakening by Prong. Groove metal legends. This one, in my opinion, is not their best release, or at least it doesn't appeal to me as much as some of their other stuff. They've always had kind of a bit of an industrial feel to their music, and on this one they really explore the industrial part of their music, and that means that a lot of the songs here are a bit samey. You have lots of repetitions of the same kind of riff. It's still good, it's still enjoyable, it's just not, in my opinion, their best work. And again, remember that I'm being subjective here. If you love industrial metal, this will probably be their best work. But I kind of prefer the more groove metal oriented stuff. But do check it out if you like 90s industrial metal and 90s alternative metal and 90s groove metal. I think even fans of Helmet might enjoy this one. Up next, Violent Restitution by Razor. This is, I don't know if it's like an original kind of pressing CD, but it's certainly, I think it is from at some point back in the day, because I had to really crank up the volume. Like, you know, with the old CDs, they're much lower in terms of the volume on the CD. They're much lower than, you know, new ones. This is thrash metal, speed metal, traditional metal. It all comes together very well. You have some really cool thrash metal riffage, and it's blended in very nicely. You have some thrash metal songs, and then you have some more kind of like standard traditional heavy metal songs. So this is very good stuff. If you like thrash metal, check this one out. Up next, some more thrash metal, Reverend. And this one is Play God. This is the Dive Bomb release. So you have the album, and then you have some bonus tracks, and in this case it's some live tracks. And I'm not a big live album guy, but these live tracks, actually they sound very good. They don't sound bootleggy or anything like that, so actually I kind of enjoyed listening to them. The hype sticker says the true heavy metal gospel for fans of Metal Church, Overkill, Heretic, and Heathen. And I kind of get that comparison. We're dealing with thrash metal, kind of like maybe, walking the razor's edge between US power metal and melodic thrash metal. And it's very good. You have some fantastic riffage. The guitar tone is awesome. I love the guitar tone on this one. The vocals are somewhere in between. I don't remember his name now, but the guy from Sanctuary and Carl Albert from Vicious Rumors. So yeah, really cool stuff. Melodic, nice riffage, excellent guitar tone. You do have some up-tempo, really aggressive parts too. So yeah, I do get the kind of comparison to Heathen and Overkill, and also Metal Church. Very good stuff. If you like melodic thrash metal, if you like power thrash, if you like US power metal, do check this one out. It's a dive bomb release. And I got more Reverend for you. This one is World Won't Miss You. And this one just has 4 bonus tracks on it. But sometimes that's what you need. That's enough. The hype sticker says the same thing because it's the same band. And the music is pretty much the same style of music. Aggressive but melodic. Vocals along the lines of maybe a slightly more aggressive sounding Carl Albert. Lots of melody, but a really, really crunchy, punchy guitar tone as well. So yeah, again, if you like Overkill, Heathen, melodic thrash metal, power thrash, Forte, Metal Church, Sanctuary, all that stuff, I think you will really enjoy Reverend. I certainly enjoyed the hell out of these two. This is great stuff. Up next, more thrash metal, Sacrifice, and this one is Apocalypse Inside. There's more to this release than this. Came in a digipack as well, but this looks really awesome. This kind of Black Widow spider thing. Thrash metal. Very original thrash metal. You have some fast, aggressive parts. The vocals are also very aggressive, and but the really cool bits to me are actually the more mid-tempo songs. You have some mid-tempo songs too, and there's a nice balance between the aggressive, fast stuff and then some more mid-tempo stuff as well. And it comes across very innovative and original too, I would say. So if you like thrash metal, and I think if Reverend sounds like your cup of tea, I think you'll enjoy Sacrifice too, although they're completely different animals, right? But they kind of populate the same savanna of thrash metal. I'm getting in over my head in a metaphor here I can't handle anymore. So let's move on to an EP here. It's called Paranoid Delusion by Welt, I guess. Just 4 songs on it. This is very weird. I'm kind of torn about this one. Musically, it's kind of death metal meets hardcore punk. The guitar tone, the production, everything about that sounds super death metal. Sounds like it could be recorded in Morris Sound Studios. I don't know if it is. It's out on Progress Red Labels, so probably wasn't recorded there, but whatever. Musically, lots of death metal stuff, lots of hardcore punk stuff, and lots of thrash metal stuff. But the production just screams 90s death metal. But the vocals are hardcore punk vocals. Along the lines of the guy from Propane. Unfortunately for me, the vocals tend to get a bit on my nerves. Fortunately, the musical part is so good that I still enjoy listening to this. But yeah, he sounds a bit like the guy from Propane. If that guy ended up being a bit annoying, because I don't remember his name, but I really like his vocals. So it's kind of along the lines of that, but just gets on my nerves a little bit. And I know that says more about me than the vocals. But yeah, an interesting kind of mix of hardcore punk and death metal and thrash without being crusty or crossover, I think. But you know, give it a listen, check it out, see what you think. Okay, up next, Bury the Pain by Xentrix. This is another one that I actually haven't shown in an update video yet, but I will. Bury the Pain, and also 7 Words, also by Xentrix. And the general kind of opinion among fans of this band, the general opinion is that this one here is much better than this one here. And it almost kind of comes across as if people think this one is just decent, but I think people are downplaying how good this one actually is. This one is very good. It has some awesome thrash metal riffage on it, and you know, some really cool fast parts, and they're intertwined with, you know, just mush friendly mid-tempo parts. There's some really cool guitar solo stuff going on here. So I think the praise that this one has received has kind of downplayed or belittled maybe even this one, because I think this one is great. I think this is a great comeback. I really enjoyed listening to this one. Just old school thrash metal with an updated kind of new school modern thrash metal sound. So definitely, if you like the more recent stuff by bands like Exodus and Creator and so on and so forth, Destruction, this one is worth checking out too. I think it's very good. I do prefer this one, but I don't want to give the impression that I think this one is kind of like mediocre or anything like that. I do prefer this one. It's the same style of music, same kind of awesome thrash metal riffage, intertwined with some awesome mid-tempo parts. But this one is just, I think, slightly better because there's more going on musically. You have more things going on in each song. The guitar solos are you know, more interesting. And again, that is not to say that these ones are bad. These ones are very good. There's just more going on in the guitar solos, I think, on this one. There's a bit more melody as well on this one. The vocals sound a little bit better. So I think both of these are great. This one here is just a little bit better to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you like thrash metal, do check this one out. And I think sort of collectively these two are great comeback by a band that were probably a bit underrated back in the day. Their classics are fantastic too. Shattered Existence, Whose Advantage is a masterpiece in my opinion, and also Kin and Scourge are fantastic. And I would say, in a way, these kind of like build very well on Scourge, and kind of you know, the natural next step. It's almost as if these guys kind of weren't gone for 100 years. So that kind of builds on Scourge and takes it back in the direction of Shattered Existence and for Whose Advantage, the more thrashy stuff, right? Fantastic albums, both of them. But yeah, 7 Words is just a little bit better to me. And up last, this one here, the album I think is called Chuetsu. The artist is called something in Japanese. Yeah, okay, actually I have it here. The artist is Soko Ninaru, and the album is called Chuetsu. So, whew, there you go. This is kind of, like, remember I just showed you, let's see if I can find it again. This one here, Ling Tosite Sigure, right? This here is kind of very similar in style, just more extreme, as it were. So it also has this Mew kind of guitar tone, this kind of Mew twang, or whatever we want to call it. The guitar work is frantic. It's just more frantic, and the drumming is dynamic. It's just much more metal. The drumming on here is all-out metal drumming for the most part. You still have some disco beats and stuff like that, but it's much more metal on the drumming. The guitar work is much more noise rock and alternative rock and kind of math rocky. There is a bit of mathcore for sure to this album, and I would say this is progressive. This is progressive music, math rock, mathcore, but it's not as over the top and inaccessible, I would say, as Dillinger Escape Plan is. The vocals are much more chill here. You have like a dude singing and a lady singing, and the vocals are more chill. They're more like standard rock vocals, actually, and that's very interesting. And a lot of the vocal lines are very melodic, and that's a very interesting contrast with the more chaotic kind of music. Each song, it never stands still. There's so many things going on in every single song that it is a very challenging listen. But if you do like noise rock, if you do like not melodic, well, there's some melodic stuff, but progressive and mathy kind of music, this one should be your cup of tea. It's an album I need to listen to a couple of times more, but I already know from just listening to it upon the first impressions that this is stuff I will really enjoy. So there you go. So again, maybe somewhere between math rock, progressive rock, noise rock, metal, and lots of other things, alternative stuff. If that sounds interesting to you, check it out. So a whole bunch of CDs I had the time to listen to this time around, and all of them, were stuff I liked. The Prong one, I was a bit lukewarm on that one compared to some of their other releases, but if you do like kind of industrial metal, maybe you want to check out Prong, Rude Awakening as well. I didn't hate it. It's just the one I liked the least out of this bunch. So there you go. Thanks for watching.